A federal judge has given the Justice Department a Tuesday deadline to provide additional information on why the Trump administration defied a court order to stop the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members. With more, we're joined by Loyola law professor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, good to have you as always. So this centers on the president's use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1789. What are the two sides arguing here, and where does this court battle go next?
So the two sides are obviously arguing about whether or not this particular statute is actually triggered. I mean, that's the big substantive claim. So as you said, this is a statute from the late 18th century. It's only been used 3 times in our nation's history. The War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. And it essentially is triggered if we're during wartime, which we're not, or if there is an invasion or predatory incursion. And the Trump administration is arguing that we are under an invasion or predatory incursion. And that's part of the reason why that they labeled the Venezuelan gangs, some of them, as foreign terrorist organizations. So the Trump administration is saying we don't need to go through the usual steps. We can deport people essentially immediately based on these findings. The plaintiffs, those challenging the president's actions here, are saying that the statute is not triggered, it's not satisfied, and the Trump administration can't move forward. In addition, as you outlined, there's this argument about whether or not the Trump administration defied the judge's temporary restraining order, telling the Trump administration to temporarily not use this statute until there's further briefing.
Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper, Jessica. Let's talk about the politics here. Some argue that invoking this act is a threat to everyone, but the White House is making the case that expelling alleged gang members is a fight that they're more than happy to take.
Well, that's right. And so they have picked a group that I think is largely not particularly popular, in the sense that if you compare members of a foreign gang, an alleged terrorist organization here, to people who are labeled as dreamers, for instance. This is a group that is much less popular. So I think that they are in part hoping that this is more politically popular. Having said that, as you know, it's not a political question. The question is whether or not the statute is satisfied, but as part of the administration's broader policy agenda to, quote unquote, crack down on illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm. So this, as you know, is just the latest battle between the executive and judicial branches. The New York Times reports there have been at least 45 rulings temporarily pausing Trump actions. What do you make of the relationship between this administration and the courts?
Well, we're about to see. At this point, the administration, in my view, is pushing the boundaries of executive authority, and the judicial system, judges are essentially pushing back at times. And every executive order obviously brings forth a different case, but we see a lot of judges issuing, again, temporary restraining orders, preliminary injunctions. I think the big question for a lot of people is whether or not the administration will comply with those orders. And we've yet to see a situation where the administration sees, for instance, a Supreme Court decision and just openly defies it.
Okay, Jessica, let's talk a little bit about what the president posted on social media last night, declaring some preemptive pardons by former President Biden are, quote, hereby void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because they were allegedly signed by AutoPen. Does President Trump, or any president for that matter, have the right to rescind pardons?
No. And so the Constitution gives the president the pardon power. And when I teach constitutional law, this is one of the provisions where I say this isn't a joint effort. You don't have to consult with Congress. And there are very few limitations on the pardon power. There might be some question as to whether or not you can grant a self-pardon, for instance. But the president has the power to grant a pardon as he sees fit. There are no takebacks. The next president can't say, just kidding. The Office of Legal Counsel in 2005, July of 2005, said using the AutoPen is absolutely fine. And so I don't think that in and of itself is a question here.
That answers a lot. Jessica Levinson, as always, good to have you with us.